Figured I'd ask. Alright, well this is the program, but let me pull up my presentation here. Okay, this is BLACKCOIN and BLACKHALO. If you guys have not heard, I'll walk you through it. It's also a platform called BLACKHALO. Halo is the actual protocol. Where's the, oh, it doesn't start. How do I start from the thing? This is
go all the way back to the top.
Aha. There we go. I knew there was a... Alright. So, I am David Zimbeck. I'm the sole developer of Halo, and I've been a member of the BLACKCOIN community for a little while, sort of volunteered, I suppose. I've been a Bitcoin enthusiast for a couple of years. Was in it about, I'd say 4 years ago I've known about it, and I got into it about a year ago. I'm also a chess master, so I'm a well-known international problemist. I set world records when I was a little kid for some of the world's most complex chess puzzles. And as a career, for a while, I was a commercial producer. I produced commercials for Mercedes and eHarmony and several other, companies. As far as programming, I'm actually self-taught. I taught myself to program in Python, and about 4 or 5 months ago, as a little kid, I used to program in QBasic, actually. And I did it because I wanted to solve a problem. And it's a problem that has been facing Bitcoin for a very long time and had not been solved. And the problem is in relation to middlemen, third parties, and trust and agreement, the basis of society. So what is freedom? What is freedom to you? For every person has a different feeling of what makes them free. Everybody has a different definition of freedom. However, the definition I just got right off of Google is the power or right to speak or think without hindrance or restraint. So, it's the power for you to do what you want to do without somebody else telling you how to do it, or coming up with a way to keep you from doing it. Middlemen, or third parties, escrow agents, insurance agents, lawyers, all this other stuff, are people who find a way to extract from your deal. If I order a bottled water, by the time that bottled water gets to me, I've probably paid about 5 different middlemen. I've paid multiple different people to truck, transport, all this other stuff. If it was just between me and peer-to-peer and the other person, I would have been paying 5 cents for the water. A few cents for the bottle, a few cents for the water. But you gotta pay all these people in the middle, right? So, that's been the problem. So what are smart contracts? For a long time, there's been this proposal of this kind of idea of smart contracts. A smart contract is just a contract that can enforce itself. So you don't need complicated terms and conditions. We could have them, but it's a way to tie up an obligation, perhaps money, like Bitcoin, tie something up and have it self-enforce. So you can have advanced commitments and scripts, and that's kind of what the Bitcoin scripting network actually is. Bitcoin is actually a smart contract system because you sign to send a transaction. So on a smart contract, ideally there's no arbiters, there's no human error, and there's no bias. That would be the ideal smart contract. So what is BLACKHALO and BitHalo? BLACKHALO is a protocol. It is the solution to smart contracts. It's already completed, available for download, so it's not vaporware, it's not some big announcement, and it's not an IPO. It's a way of protecting both parties by using the Bitcoin scripting system the way that it was meant to be used. We equally protect both parties. So if I enter into a deal, there is no escrow agent. It's me and the counterparty. It's me and you. And the way that we do it is we use a technique that I don't believe was I don't think it was possible before in cash. It's a technique called double deposit escrow, which is basically like where I put up a certain amount of money and you put up a certain amount of money into a joint account, an account that we share. So by both having the money in the joint account, imagine like a safe, but a safe with 2 keys. I can turn the first key, but I still need you to be there with me to turn the second. So by doing this, we make an unbreakable contract. And by having a contract that's unbreakable, it's enforceable in the real world. So now we have a way to actually perform an international wire transfer and enforce it. Now you can't steal from me. Had Mt. Gox had this technology implemented of double deposit escrow, they wouldn't have been able to take wires and not honor them. Because had they done so, they would have lost money. So the enforceability was the problem that needed to be solved. Even if Ethereum ever comes up with a decentralized platform, they're still going to need a way to enforce their contracts. So they're still going to use double deposit escrow if they were going to do it correctly. So enforceability brings Bitcoin into the real world, and it binds us to our word, to our agreement. Back in the day, a long, long time ago, people used to actually honor their word. So I hope to bring that back to the world. Here's some examples of the use cases of what you can do. So you could do a theft-proof eBay. Like one of the problems with eBay, and I'll go into a use case in a little bit, but a problem with eBay is a lot of times somebody will send a package, and then they'll say, oh, you know, I don't want it. They'll return it, and they'll return an empty box, or I don't know if you've ever heard of anybody who got a bag of rocks. It's a pretty popular scam on eBay, and eBay can't actually do anything about it because they didn't see the box. They don't know what's in it, so they don't really know which party to side with. Do they side with the buyer, with the seller? You know, so this would create a theft-proof eBay. In fact, BitHalo is a solution to theft. Theft is not possible on BitHalo. It creates also unbreakable employment contracts. I don't know if any of you have any of you ever outsourced? Okay, have you ever had an outsourcing contract where the party says that they're going to have it done next week, and then 3 weeks later, yeah, it's next week, and then a couple more days, oh, you know, I got stuck in traffic the other day, and I had a thing to take care of, and your project was pretty high priority, but not really. So instead, what we can do is we can now create a double deposit system where you and the employee are making a deposit to structure the way that you want to do your agreement and structure the way that you want to do your trust. So the double deposit creates unbreakable employment contracts by obligating both the employer to pay and the employee to perform. What this also allows is for trustless international trade. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the telecom business model. However, there's a lot of issues with international trade, or if you've ever run an international trade, there's issues with, you know, shipments arriving where they're supposed to arrive. And escrow companies, a lot of times when it's cross borders, can just disappear with money. So international trade is a huge problem. I actually had a friend who lost about $100,000 to international fraud, trade fraud. So you would have now trusted international trade, where it's impossible to perform a trade and then break your bond or agreement, and you won't need a legal party or an enforcing government to enforce the deal. It also creates a bartering system. So we can now, using BitHalo and BLACKHALO, we can trade silver for gold, corn for wheat, any 2 items that you want, any unbreakable contract that you can fathom. It also eliminates one of Bitcoin's largest problems, which is volatility. And the way that it would do that is by creating unbreakable peer-to-peer futures and peer-to-peer options. For those of you who are traders, if you're familiar with derivatives, you know, this is a way to create a derivative contract where you will not have an unpaid derivative. Because now if you do, there's a timer on the derivative and it runs out and destroys the deposits. So how does that actually work? Is it like magic or something? So I'm not receiving a fee for this service, first of all. It's a free service. The way that it works is we use multi-signature or a joint account. And imagine this is the eBay use case. So let's say that you're shipping a package on eBay. Both me and the counterparty, we deposit into a joint account. So actually, if you come by my booth a little bit later, I can explain more in depth how it works, because some people are better with visual aids. And basically both parties They take a deposit and then they put it in a joint account. They also advance the amount. So one party's going to be in at 2, and the other party's going to be in at 1. Let's pretend that the value of whatever is being sent is worth 1. Let's say I'm sending you a guitar, or let's say I'm buying Bitcoin with cash. So I'm going to send you 1. So now when I send it to you, I'm out 2, and you're out 1. If you try to steal from the deal, you're still out money. So instead of actually being in the positive, you're in the negative. Theft is not possible amongst 2 strangers if you don't profit. The only reason for theft and the only reason for deception is profit and personal gain. When you remove the personal gain, then now you have trust. So what happens is we both put our double deposit. I advance you the amount that I was going to pay for the guitar, and now you send me the guitar in the mail. And we decide, I say, hey, did it arrive in good condition? Okay, I call you, I say, all right, this looks all fine. So now we confirm, the money is released, your money's turned to you, my money's turned to me. There's no escrow agent, there's no third party, there's no arbiter. You would sign, and I would sign. Just old-fashioned, peer-to-peer. So that's the protocol. And why hasn't it happened before? So what's the issue? Why has it been 4 years and nobody solved the problem? Bloat. Most of Bitcoin's exotic features were disabled because right now Bitcoin's reaching an upper limit. And there's only so much that it can transact in a certain amount of time. Because it's a community thing. We all share the ledger. So by sharing it, we're now approaching a point where there's only so much information that you can download. So there's a lot of other protocols that like the idea of putting things on the blockchain. There's Ethereum, there's Mastercoin, there's Counterparty, and all these other protocols are talking about not only reducing, but adding to the amount of information on the blockchain. So one of the reasons that it hasn't happened was not only because enforceability hasn't been solved, because nobody had actually used double deposit to bring Bitcoin into the real world, but also a lot of the features were disabled, and there's a lot of people who are part of the Bitcoin community that they don't want things like Mastercoin, and they don't want things like Counterparty because it adds to the amount of information on the blockchain. And so it makes it too big. It's too big of a file to download. Imagine downloading all of YouTube. It's impossible. So instead, by using double deposit, now we can distribute the information without worrying about the security of it. Because as long as I have a contract with you, we're in a joint account, I can send whatever information I want. In fact, well, I'll get to that in a little bit, but we can do decentralized applications with Halo. So the solution is Halo. Halo is Bitcoin 2.0. Here it is. It removes all the middlemen, and it provides unbreakable 2-party agreements. And like I was saying before, we use distributed communication. So instead of using blockchain encrypted messaging, instead I use encrypted email. So we piggyback on email servers, and for the people who really like that high anonymity, we use a protocol called BitMessage, which is similar to the blockchain, except it's more like a swarm of peers, and they're kind of like sharing the information that only that they need to share. However, BitMessage is broken. A lot of people saw the protocol, and then they've been trying to do it, and now we have a way to fix it. So I'm fixing it by tying it to BLACKCOIN and tying it to Bitcoin. So currently that's disabled in the client, but that will be re-enabled. BLACKCOIN's inherent design features. First of all, I'm here for BLACKCOIN. They have. I've been part of the community. I chose BLACKCOIN voluntarily because it is a faster coin. It is one of the fastest coins, about 50 times faster than Bitcoin. It's also very secure. It has a malleability patch, which is useful for me. So when I was going out and scouting for different coins, I saw what coin can I use that will be most beneficial for smart contracts. The application of this patch also, I believe it, proof of stake, I believe it is more secure than proof of work. And although we run both Bitcoin and BLACKCOIN run through the same client. So it's actually not only is it multi-signature client, it's also a multi-coin client. And in addition, there was major security improvements made recently, which actually really fell on deaf ears. A lot of people didn't notice, but PureCoin actually does have some, a lot of the complaint with proof of stake was that it's insecure, because you don't have to be connected to the network to stake. This has all been changed, and I encourage you guys, for the more technically versed, to read the white paper on Proof of Stake 2.0. So BLACKCOIN went out, and the lead developer, he made great innovation to the protocol itself. There's also there's also a multi-pool for BLACKCOIN, which is very well known, which most mining applies downward pressure to coins by selling, but the multi-pool creates upward pressure by buying. So one of the things that is nice and innovative about BLACKCOIN is their multi-pool model. And as far as BLACKCOIN, I'd also like to speak for a moment about some of the other projects. They have a BLACKCOIN-centric exchange headed, so it's a high-frequency exchange that they're doing because it's a faster currency, and so it'll be BLACKCOIN and Bitcoin. And somebody had developed. I've only been in beta for about 3 months. I had BitHalo in beta 3 months ago, and BLACKHALO's been in beta for about a month and a half. And somebody's already started an auction site based on BLACKHALO, so Black Auctions. And there's another project, Black Moon, where they're sending BLACKCOINs to the moon, apparently. So that it's a pocket spacecraft. Encourage you guys to check it out. It's pretty cool. They have another service where I believe that you can accept any service that accepts Bitcoin. Also now would accept BLACKCOIN with a service called BlackBit. And Black Visa, which is merchants can accept BLACKCOIN via PayPal. So I believe it's a Visa card. They have a new, just like a regular debit card you spend in stores now. So there's also Project Blackbox, which if you guys join BLACKCOIN's subreddit, you can see all the different things that they've been doing. Decentralized autonomous corporation, so everybody in BLACKCOIN is a leader. It's a very, very active community, and actually I was a community member. The person who designed the multi-pool was actually a community member. So there's a lot of people that are contributing and making it stronger. And yeah, so then CoinSys is the BLACKCOIN powered debit cards. And the future of BLACKHALO is I have a decentralized exchange headed. So it's called NightTrader. So NightTrader is going to be the world's first multi-signature exchange, which is, it's like Mt. Gox, but the money never actually touches. I mean, it's not like Mt. Gox because we can't take the money, but or other exchanges which always have money go missing. Instead, the money never touches the exchange. So every account is joint, and we run the money through the exchange only as a signatory. So we only sign for you to send your money to the counterparty, but there's no way for us to send money to ourselves because you have to sign for it. So the money never leaves your wallet, and you can do all the trading from your wallet. As well, NightTrader forms a multi-signature exchange right within the BLACKHALO and the BitHalo client, as well as a decentralized exchange that works peer-to-peer. So there's also peer-to-peer contracting, and some of those things are going to be decentralized servers. So instead of posting to my website or a server, which is a single point of failure, it's now trustless. We'll use things like BitMessage channels, and we have our own little way of kind of broadcasting, transactions to the network. And these decentralized servers are going to be ways to post contracts, like a bulletin board. So imagine like a Google search engine where you can search for your contract. So if you want to search for silver, you could do it. If you want to search for Dogecoins, you could do it, etc. Employment. And I'm also adding a lot of user-friendly templates. So a lot of things that your mom could follow, like just one click, and now you can buy Bitcoins from somebody else in France. One click and you can create an employment contract, stuff like that. So the whole economy will be within BLACKHALO and BitHalo. I also have a few extra exotic features such as pay-to-email, cold storage staking, and distributed Python. And there's a lot of other exotic features to come. So if you guys have some questions as well, you can always email me, contact me through my website at Night Trader. There's BitHalo.org and there's BLACKHALO.org and Night Trader as well. So, and that's it. Be free. Any questions for David?
Sorry, I don't need mine. Okay. So go back to your guitar example for a second. The guitar costs $1. I'm buying it from you, so I send $2. You send $1. Multi-sig to complete the transaction. What happens if I never sign?
That's a good question. Yeah, so he's asking, what happens if a party doesn't sign for a double deposit escrow and they just leave it there? Well, that's why we have a timer. So the time to complete could set the timer for whatever you and the counterparty decide to agree in advance. If the time runs out, the funds are actually destroyed.
Okay.
So
That was the part I needed to know.
yeah, it's a very important question, so I'm glad you asked it. Yeah, we don't get it. It's burned. The money is sent to an unspendable burn address. So, yeah. So this is the client itself, by the way. If you can send contracts to an email account or a BitMessage address, but I've temporarily disabled this until I fix BitMessage. And by sending to an email, you just type your amount, your deposit, time to complete, and on YouTube as well, you can check out, there's a lot of videos on it. We've had a lot of really positive coverage, and we have videos of contracts happening here as a video of it taking place.
So I don't know much about the technology aspect of it, but why not have the money sent somewhere else instead of being destroyed?
Well, there is a possibility of alternative ways to send the money. However, if we did do like a through charity method, then they would have to trust me, you know. And I don't want to have to say, hey, you know, we're eliminating all the middlemen, and I'm the middleman. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are here for profit, and that's not. I'm not here for profit. I'm here to create destructive technology and change the world. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's a good idea, and maybe in the future there will be a way to incorporate, you know, more exotic features once people do gain some trust or for what we're doing. We can't pay to miners either because they could collude. You know, they could try to collude for the block and default. All right.
Thanks so much. Okay, and we're also going to do our next presentation at this monitor.